All right. Well, here we are. Noble Apartment Cup, feeling
All
extra
dressed
noble. Yeah, and welcome everybody to the start of the day. As Dash was introducing here, should be a great series with a lot of history between these two. These two have played for a really long time, T-West.
A lot of history that Tatoh has absolutely dominated in.
Yeah. The last time Dogao beat Tatoh in a tournament set was 2014.
10 years ago.
Which was 10 years ago, which, again, is nuts. But since
Shows
then,
how long they've been playing.
Tatoh has won 10 straight sets. So it has been all about Tatoh, it seems. So,
Pretty much.
Yeah. So your first time here, right? And
My
obviously,
first time here. You've been here before.
We're all dressed up and whatnot. So
Our first time getting dressed up for this.
Yeah.
We had some problems with the costumes the other day. They were they didn't translate our American sizes correctly, and we had XXL clothes delivered to us, so we had to fix that.
Yeah, I felt a little offended, honestly, when I put on some of those shirts. I was like, well, what did they think here? But yeah, it's been a little bit of adapting on our part, but everything's good, and we'll be into the first set shortly. We should have a draft to look to, and that's going to be the big thing between these two, because they are similar. They both love hybrid. I just wonder if you're Dogao, like, do you try and play away from your own strengths if your own strengths are so similar to Tato's strengths?
Exactly. And the draft is pretty complicated this time. Because you draft some civs, then you draft some maps, and then you draft more civs. There's a three-stage component to it.
It's tough. Like, so people have to remember that, like, you may question at some point, why didn't this individual play with their number one civ? Yes, you probably need to pick a civ that's super flexible, but they are picking that first civ before you know some of those maps, right? And I think the other thing that's tricky is the bans as well. Like, as Viper said, I think you draft more around, like, an overall style, but I think those one civilization-specific out-of-the-box strategies are going to be a lot tougher because random bans could potentially eliminate any of those wild cards.
And there are so many bans, as they said, up to around 22 bans for a best of 5. That's a lot of civs that are just not going to be available for you to play with.
It'll be interesting. I don't know if there's a stat guy here in the Noble Apartment Cup, but I feel like it'd be interesting to see how many repetitive civ matchups we actually see this tournament. I feel like there's going to be very few with the amount of bans and with the way the draft works. So I feel like every single game should have a little bit of a different spice to it.
Yeah, and we'll see if we have similar styles of civs, though, on maps. You might not see the exact same civ, but you might see a similar strategy play out multiple times.
Yeah, I agree. So the one map I'm kind of looking forward to, it's one of my favorites, is Bypass. I really hope we see Bypass. I really think it's going to be banned a lot. I think a lot of players here are going to be terrified of that map because of the potential, the craziness. But, I mean, the fights that you can see through the middle on that map, the outside pressure, like you could see everything. You could see a tower rush even.
It's our so one closed map in the map pool, really. We have Copenhagen, which is kind of a bit different because of that red side feeling. But it's the most clown map that we have in the map.
Yeah. And I think Copenhagen, everyone here is going to prefer a little bit more because they're all very happy with their slow build-up, tiny little advantages here or there, solid macro game. So we'll see. But I actually don't know if we have a draft prepared. I'd love to look at it. Tatoh and Dogao are getting prepped for their first game here. But we got a best of 5, and this is Swiss stage, of course. So there's going to be sets every single day over the next few days. And Viper was mentioning that he's starting to get there. So my question is everyone like that right now? Is there one player that's just going to be at 100% right away? Like, I wonder how that works, you know?
Everyone has been playing in the game room the past few days. They've been playing pretty intensely. Some of them have been playing League of Legends or Cookie Clicker. But most of them have been playing Age of Empires.
But that's when their training partner is getting food, right? Is when they load up another game. These guys can't wait, right? So if they're not in an intense Age of Empires 2 game, they've literally been playing League or some other game.
They're always finding something to do on their PCs. Yeah,
so funny story yesterday. So, like, the whole room is just clickety-clack the whole time. Like, it's just everyone playing away. And at a certain point, there needed to be a photo shoot for the players. So all the players had to pause and come out. And Yo and Dogao were in the middle of a 1v1 game. And it was like late castle age for both, and it was quite close. I think Dogao had a score lead of like 800, let's say, right? And so they pause, they come out, and Yo is like just itching to get back to his computer. Like, Yo is trying to sneak away as they're taking the photos, and they're like, no, Yo, come back. And Yo's like, come on, I want to kill Dogao. And Dogao's like, no, like, you're so dead. And it was like children. You're so dead. No, you're so dead. No, you're so dead. Just back and forth. So I was obviously very interested, right? And so, yeah, obviously it played out. Yeah, it was so funny. Yo's like, your score's only high because you have fire ships. And Dogao's like, you're a noob. You know, it was just like the whole thing. Anyways, Dogao did end up winning that, but it's just that's what you get here, right? That's what you get that you don't get when you're online.
I wonder if we're going to see anyone fighting to go to the other person's PC and take a look at what they're doing in the training room.
I mean, there's been a couple like jokes here or there, right? And in that particular game, Yo was he was asking me what Dogao's population was. I'm like, I'm not telling you, dude. I'm not telling
Sending
you.
people to spy on their PCs for you.
Yeah, exactly. But it's been cool, and yeah, everyone's been playing a lot. I mean, as a caster, I find that sometimes I can't bring my best work until like day 4 on an event like this because we're adapting to the space, and I haven't played away from home as much, but I just like, do you ever get like a new keyboard or a new mouse or something, or change your environment, like move and try and play again? Yeah, it's different, exactly. Even if you have, these guys are obviously going to have their same equipment.
It just feels different. You put it on a different desk, maybe the height.
Yeah.
You need to spend some time adjusting, getting everything set.
Yeah.
Your monitor in the right position.
You don't have like maybe the perfect climate control in your room, or, you don't have that squeaky fan, or, like your dog's not going to come in. I don't know what the situation is, but yeah, definitely it takes some adapting. And I think because of that, I would expect to have game 1 here be a map that isn't super crazy. I think we're going to see a lot of that for the first games, is players are not going to want to be thrown into the mix on a map which could just fall apart on you quick. I think it's going to be rather adaptive there. So,
okay, so you're expecting an Arabia for the game 1?
I mean, potentially. I mean, some people would say that Arabia puts you under pressure right away, but I would say these days maybe it's not necessarily. Okay. So I am curious. I still don't know if we have a draft ready. I haven't heard any word on that. I see Tato's over here having some conversations. They're trying to get some stuff up. We'll inform you guys once we know. But for now, we speculate.
Yeah, for now, we just kind of look down the hallway and just try to see where the players are walking, or if they're in some type of panic, like maybe their keyboard isn't working. Or
I would like to preemptively point out before this gets caught on camera that this is not alcoholic, by the way. It's not. Just so Microsoft...
It just looks noble.
Yeah, exactly. So I just would like to point that out. But if I start to act a little bit different, there's nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it's just the time zone difference.
Exactly. It's just, that's what we're going to say. Just the time zone difference. Man, it is freezing cold here. Like, really cold.
You were from Florida.
Is it that cold up in New York now, or New Jersey?
It's pretty similar to this.
Whew, man, it's freezing. Last time I was here... I don't know if I ever told this story on stream, but last time I was here, I was scheduled to cast in like, let's say 30 minutes. And I was like, all right, I got a 10-minute walk from the hotel to make it, we'll be good. And I walked out and everything was frozen. Like I was sliding around on the sidewalks.
Last time for NAC, the sidewalks were all slidey.
Yeah. So so I'm like sliding my way to the apartment with my coffee in my hand. I'm like, please don't fall, being hyper sensitive on my technique.
And you fell, didn't you?
But after I got in the building, that's the worst part. So I got off the sidewalk. No. I got I go to step in front of the elevator, and then I wipe out, spill coffee, and then I had to slide back and change. It was the whole thing. So hopefully we don't have that issue this time. But yeah, it's quite chilly, quite nippy, but we're inside. I'm actually quite warm with all the layers I have right now.
With all the lights on us.
Yeah, but this is pretty cool, man. I've been told we got a minute or two until we get the draft and everything, so...
So speaking of the player keyboards, Mr. Yo has the most amazing keyboard I've ever seen. I don't know if we have someone with a camera who can go look at it.
Yeah, I mean, from what he told me one time, is apparently like a very expensive custom keyboard.
It looks like it.
And I will say Yo's keyboard looks like his in-game with the amount of mods that he has. So at some point, we're going to have player point of views available. And when anyone's casting Yo, hopefully we get that, because Yo has the craziest mods. Like his knights don't look like knights. His bombard cannon.
His bombard cannons are huge.
Yeah, like it's not the tiny little dude. It's like a massive cannon. Yeah. He's got fiery tread balls. He's got audio change. He's got audio changes. I think one of the ones as well. If people know the one like the Illuminati like thinking meme, he's got that over his TC as he's aging up. He's got all sorts of different things. It's crazy, man. It's so funny to see a pro player have more mods than the casual players.
The casual players, right?
Yeah.
Like usually when we're casting, we're like, oh, we're going to keep this nice and clean so that everyone's familiar with it. But the pro players, they just go there. No cube mods this time.
Yeah, no cube.
We'll see a lot of specific mods that they have.
Have you seen the mod that Phosphor uses where like all his buildings, it doesn't even look like a building.
They're not
it's
buildings,
just like
they're just squares that are flat on the ground, and it has the symbol for which building it is.
It's horrible. Just horrible, horrible, horrible. Anyways, we got a draft here. Finally get to that draft between Dogao and Tatoh, and we could speculate a little bit on what we're going to see as we go. So we got Tatoh at the top right there. He's looking to chill out. Fun fact about Tatoh, I assume he's doing the same here. He typically plays with music. He's the only player that I know who typically plays with music. So he's getting in the zone. Dogao, bottom right. These players know each other well. And it's going to be game 1 on a High Tides. And then the home map for Dogao is Tidepool and Dry River. And then the home maps for Tatoh, Bedouins, and Copenhagen.
2 very different maps there for Tatoh. A Nomad start in Bedouins, and then that Regicide start in Copenhagen.
Yeah, so High Tides is actually one of the tougher ones to play here, especially to start off the series. That's where there's a lot of things that can happen. You've got the dockable water in the north, and then there's areas where you can take Hunt towards the south, combined with very open middle of the map. You see there's quite a few bans on screen, a lot of civilizations that aren't available here. There's even a random ban in there, actually, so Dogao must have ran out of time. But is there anything that stands out to you in terms of the order of picks or anything here?
Well, it's kind of tricky to figure out the civs because there are so many bans, but different priorities at the start with Chinese for Tatoh, who are just that overall really good civ on a wide variety of maps, especially with the 9 villager start. And then Armenians for Dogao, usually a very water-focused civ. Maybe he's thinking about them for Tidepool.
Yeah, Tidepool would make a lot of sense. I do think Armenians might have some sneaky potential on Copenhagen. They do have a very bad late game, but they're opening because you could go galleys there, which is pretty common on Copenhagen. Their unique unit's somewhat viable there, and their eco is really smooth. I would guess that that's not going to be the case. I think maybe something like Berbers would make more sense for Dogao on Copenhagen because of the unique unit there. But Tatoh picking Goths is a little bit surprising to me. I'm wondering where he's going to play that. Usually you want to get a villager forward or make it messy with the Goths. Or maybe that's a Goth counter pick against Berbers. Like, if the Goths can boom on Copenhagen, get to Huskarls and Halbs, Berbers could have some problems.
Huskarls as that counter to all of the Camel Archers from the Berbers.
Yeah, that'd be a very Tatoh thing to do. That is a really interesting pick. So we'll see. But game 1 will be starting shortly. I think the difference here today, as we see image of something else. This is clearly a test image of some kind, because that is old footage of Hera and Doubt.
Hera and Doubt.
And there we go. We're back on us.
We've swapped the test footage out.
Actually, this is all from last year as well. We pre-recorded
this is all pre-recorded. Yeah. We prepared 1 year ago for this.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got an interview with Dogao to send you guys to before the series.
It felt amazing because I think my last offline tournament was the Red Bull 2022. So it's been a while since I couldn't qualify. And after that, especially beating Sebastian, who is one of the strongest players in the qualify, felt really good for me. I always have something in me like, sometimes I think the other players are stronger than me, you know. But after beating Sebastian in the qualify, it gave me a lot of confidence. And I feel that I can beat pretty much anyone here. Yeah, I'm practicing a lot, especially after securing my spot. I have been practicing a lot for this tournament. Bars and you have been my main practice partners, and I'm feeling really confident. I think so. I think I have some strategies prepared with some civs. Hopefully it doesn't get banned in the random picks though. It's tricky, right? Because it will depend on how who you are going to play against in the first rounds. So let's say if you are playing against someone of the favorites to win the whole thing, maybe you don't want to show your strategies. And then when you really need it, people will already know. So maybe you should just pick the time to show your picks and strategies.
Well, listen, I think if anyone's going to be hiding strategies here, it's probably going to be Tatoh. Tatoh has a really good run against Dogao over the last 10 years. Lots of confidence against Dogao. If you're Dogao, I think on everyone's predictions, he was predicted maybe to end up near the bottom. I think you got to come out swinging.
I think the only one who didn't predict him at the bottom was Dave, because Dave forgot to submit the prediction.
Oh, did he not do any predictions? Was that it?
Well, it wasn't tweeted, so I don't think he submitted it.
Wow, what a loser. He's such a loser. Can he hear me? He might not be able to hear me. But anyways, yeah, I mean, that is, people weren't expecting Dogao to make it here. They were expecting Sebastian to beat him in that series in the qualifier. Ended up being a 4-3 win for Dogao. And like Viper said earlier, it's really good for the scene that someone like Dogao's been back in top shape. Kind of felt like for a couple years that he was no longer going to be in the top 10 conversation. Key for me in this series for Dogao is stick to his game, but try and have a little bit more commitment to some extreme. Meaning, instead of dropping the third town center where you would typically do that, maybe make a little bit more army, go forward siege. Or maybe if you're going to go for a boom approach, just like squeeze in an extra town center there. I think if this is the typical Dogao Tatoh play, Tato's just going to be all over him. So I need to see a little bit of something special from Dogao.
Yeah, because these players, as we've talked about, have a pretty similar play style, but it's something that Tatoh always seems like he's doing something better, whether it's managing the eco or just microing a fight. Something small that Tato's doing. Can Dogao make up for that?
Also, I think like Tatoh is a big mind game player, and when we just saw the draft, we saw Goths on there, and that could potentially scare you off your game a little bit if you're Dogao. You might say, well, I'm not going to go Berbers now because I'm scared of the Huskarls. But what if Tatoh doesn't even play Goths? What if Tatoh plays Chinese or some other civilization and they don't have Berbers? So I think like things like that. Stick to your game plan. Don't let Tatoh get too deep into your head. But I mean, it's tough.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll see maybe Armenians against Goths.
That would be
the composite bowmen that ignore the armor on the Huskarls might be fun.
Oh, that's actually crazy. Well, I hope we see that. We'll know in a moment. We're going to be in game number 1 here in a second. And we were expecting to see the game. And there we go. Here we are. Very close, actually, this start for Tatoh losing a villager there, but he saves it. He's fine. And welcome, ladies and gents, to the Noble Apartment Cup Day 1. We got Tatoh in the blue playing as the Incas, and we've got the Malians for Dogao on high tides.
Yeah, and on high tides, as they're luring those elephants, the important part is the top of the map where both players go to dock. You have those shallows with some shorefish in them, but you really want to get the docks forward on those islands, and sometimes you see some Vil fights there. Looks like we're already seeing some quick walls from Tatoh trying to trap Dogao in by that dock.
Yeah, so we're 3 minutes in now. We missed a little bit here, but we've really also missed nothing because both players went up to dock. This is a big deal because if you want to contest that water there, typically you're going to pull that initial dock villager to build the second dock. So Tatoh doing this makes it so Dogao's going to have to send another villager a pretty long distance if he wants to build the second dock in Feudal Age.
And also makes it much more difficult to repair those fire galleys if you have that Vil that's just trapped by the dock and can't get the repairs.
Yeah, it's true. Now, at the main base, both players are going to have some pretty exposed main golds. And this is just a really tricky map to balance out everything. If you go for the water, you're exposed on land. If you go for the land, you're likely losing water. Long term, that island there does become really valuable with the gold, but there is still plenty of gold elsewhere around the map.
There's a lot of gold out in the south of the map, too. There's also some hunt there, and sometimes you see players go for a mill or even a TC by the top of the water to take the hunt. Yeah,
super fun map. Sometimes you'll see even a dock down there in the south. Like if both players head down there with Vils, having a galley or a demo potentially can be really valuable. So one of the tougher maps to play, and one of the maps that Dogao's looked really good on in the past as well. So I think this suits him. A Tatoh should be great for him. He doesn't have many weaknesses, and his Eagle just finds a couple sheep there in the back of Dogao's base.
Yeah, and Inca's one of those civs that probably not your top pick on a water map, but can play it. They save the wood on houses, and having that extra llama can get you off to a nice, smooth Dark Age to click up really fast.
Yeah, it is a surprising pick to see Incas here, but I mean, the one thing they can't do is they can't make a stable. They can't make knights, but they can kind of play in towards counters with everything else. I think having the extra population space from the houses on a hybrid map, it makes for a really smooth Dark Age and Feudal Age.
Especially with this 9 villager start when you start with houses, so you don't need to think about building any of them during your Dark Age.
Yep, so villagers on gold for both. There's the second dock from Dogao. Now, Tatoh doesn't know about that. Maybe Tato's thinking that Dogao won't be doing that, but either this is Tatoh trying to get home with the sheep, or this is next level thinking from him. He actually finds the dock with the 2 stolen sheep.
It's like you're playing Nomad and scouting the coastline with your sheep.
Yeah, crazy. Scouts there for Dogao. And there is our first kill of Noble Apartment Cup. That's going to be a dead eagle right there. Not a bad trade for Tatoh because the scout's pretty weak for Dogao, but certainly a good start for Dogao. And there are birds in the middle of the map doing something.
They do that sometimes, yeah. They all get clumped up.
Is this a map script thing?
It's not a map script thing. It's just a DE thing.
Okay.
Sometimes there are a lot of birds that decide they're all going to... No, they flock together.
Yeah, all right, well... We'll see if that happens more here today. So the big thing for Tatoh is he doesn't know now if Dogao is going to transition into land right away behind water. So he's got to respect that potential. He'll drop a barracks now, but that's 175 wood into that. Dogao is seemingly going full water right now. Still hasn't dropped the barracks, has another round of fire galleys in queue after the initial fire galleys on water.
And that's why it's so good that Tatoh did indeed scout that second dock. He knows that Dogao isn't going for, say, a barracks plus range or stable transition at this point.
Yeah, it could come up any time. So I think you're expecting to see 2 rounds of ships out of the dock, but is it going to be a third round's kind of your question here. Nice start there for Tatoh in defense, actually. Those are some weak fires there from Dogao. There's also a demo coming out now. Demo is flirting with the idea of connecting there. We'll see if Tatoh actually does. Dogao notices it. And that's actually fine for Tatoh because he almost gets the kill here, and Dogao's got to pull back.
Yeah, and he got a lot of damage on that other fire because the demo was just dancing around by it.
Yeah, Dogao needs to save that. Dogao will save it. Fires will push that back. Tato's pretty far from his Repairville. And just back and forth on water, but there's also the land aspects to respect. And this is, there's the barracks now from Dogao. So he's very late with his barracks compared to Tatoh. And Tato's had his for a while.
Yeah, that's that wood savings from the Incas, too. I know the Malians do save wood in their buildings, so they still actually do have to build the houses at this point.
Yeah, so it almost feels like Tato's not going to go for a range, and he's just going to use the barracks for eagles, which is pretty smart. And there's the demo hit from Dogao. He gets a kill, but he's going to lose his own here as he dives for the fish. Almost looked like Dogao was distracted there, like something was happening at his base. Maybe the spearman was being attacked. Maybe he's transitioning into the farms. But so far, almost as advertised, I would say. Like they're both playing similarly. Tatoh just a slight step ahead with momentum, it feels like.
Yeah. And that's the advantage of the Incas as they go for that feudal transition, as you said, adding in the barracks, and they can just add the eagles.
Yeah, this is a first game in a different place, right? Long travel distance, especially for Dogao. And you got to adapt to the climate and figure things out here. This is actually nice work from Dogao. It could have been so much worse for him. He does end up saving the one fire and getting some kills on Tatoh, but they're still just trading evenly on water. Well, no, not so evenly on water. It might be even in a second, but just really worried for Dogao. The lack of land presence is already an issue, and Tatoh is going to start the clear up on water.
And now it feels like the water is going firmly in control of Tatoh. Dogao falling back, and Tatoh still has his fish alive, still has 3 fishing ships working. He needs to try to find those fish from Dogao at this point.
Yeah, and Tatoh sees all this, right? Like, he knows the range is just now coming up. So that's pretty good. It takes a long time to produce the eagles in feudal, so the fact that Tato's going to have 2 eagles already before the first archer comes out is a really smooth start for him.
And just having those eagles forward to harass the goldvilles is going to make it a bit trickier to get the archers out. Just a bit less gold for Dogao. Yeah,
and just focus on water, right? Like, they're still looking at fire galleys all the time. There's fire galleys from Tatoh on Dogao's fish right now. And, I mean, Dogao is, from what I think I'm gathering from the minimap right now, Dogao is not able to fish super freely at the moment. And, yeah, Tatoh's fire's just been all over the place. There's fishing ships going down for Dogao. So he's given up on water now. He's just going to make a demo and stop at that. And Tatoh seems to recognize that he's going to be doing that too, because Tato's no longer queuing up any fire galleys. So really good recognition from him.
And he actually went for the second barracks already in feudal there. That's a pretty early time to do the second barracks in the eagle transition, because they take so long to train in the feudal age. Usually you see that while you're on your way up to the castle age, but Tatoh isn't quite ready to click up yet.
It's just super smooth from Tatoh, right? It's like he's won the water. He now is walling up on land. His eagle numbers are still pretty high. There is a lot to wall up, but I mean, he's done pretty much most of it. And he also is, a lot of players will expect Dogao to just come back on water and he'll keep producing ships. He just stopped at the 6 fires and said, nope, no more. And yeah, this is just what we've come to expect from Tatoh. Super smooth decision making, great execution. And these minor differences just add up to a really nice lead for him right now.
Yeah, and he's already ahead by those 3 fishing ship kills, and we see both players going for the markets, both getting ready to click up at the same time, but the Eagles coming in just as that market wants to go up. Can he deny this? Can he get that weak Vil?
Yeah, this could be 2 dead Vils, and the market gets denied. Dogao just did not react to that in time. He doesn't have the army. That's the thing. He added scouts and he added archers, but it seems like his scouts are on the far side of the map trying to get some counter damage. So Tatoh clicks up. 2 scouts from Dogao might be able to get a Vil pick, and we'll see what Tato's reactions look like. Tatoh sees it, but Tato's going to lose a Vil as well.
That was a nice use of the hill there from Dogao to stay on top of the hill as he's attacking the Vils.
Yeah, he's trying to hit the same villager there. He did attack 2 different ones. He's still got those eagles to contend with at home, but nice damage there from Dogao. Man, a hole in the wall. I think there is a hole between the tree and the house on the other side. Not here, but like right where the wood is being chopped from Tatoh, I think. I could be crazy. It's all right. If Vodka doesn't see it, I don't think Dogao's going to see it.
This is where Vodka needs to check. Is there a hole on the edge of the map? Does that go all the way to the edge?
What? What? What is that, dude? Okay,
that's the blacksmith graphics. They go outside of their foundation sometimes.
So
it's a 3x3 building, but the graphics are bigger.
This is not what I meant, by the way. This is not what I meant. So there was a hole, and this is great for Dogao. I mean, he's only down 2 fishing ships. So it looks like maybe he killed one at one point from Tatoh. So it's not like Tato's got this crazy eco, and now Tato's not going to have the momentum he wanted in early Castle Age.
And also, since he went for the double barracks, he doesn't have the range for skirmishers to clean up the archers during this transition. He's going to have to wait for the next stage in Eagles.
Yeah. The hole I was talking about is between the house and that tree next to the barracks, by the way. Right there by the wood line. We just passed. I don't know. We would need to see some clicks there. Right there. See, there, look, you look at the white box, you see there's no hole. It's confusing. And then you'd have to click the blacksmith. Tato's going to be kicking himself here. It felt like it would have been the perfect opening to Castle Age, but this has just been sloppy now.
Yeah, now he'll finally be able to clean up that army, but we see the dead villager. We've seen a lot of idle time from him, and this is a good counterattack from Dogao.
Yeah, this is huge for your confidence as well. To be able to snipe another villager. Well, he does have eagles on his side. He wasn't fully walled, so he does snipe the villager, but the eagles will be very strong against his Vils. Yeah, I think in the end, Tatoh getting that counter damage and pushing back this attack will feel pretty good. Those eagles are still able to harass, and 66 on the Eco KD as things smooth out here in Castle Age.
Yep, and as you get to the Castle Age Eagles, of course, they train faster and they get an extra +3 attack boost. So once you hit Castle Age, they're much stronger at fighting off that those villagers and that Feudal Age army.
So it's just coming back to me now. This was actually the map that Dogao played in Game 7 against Sebastian in the qualifier. And he did play as Malians, and he went Crossbow Knight. I believe he might have even been up against Incas. It might be a rematch of that matchup, but he's certainly sticking with what he knows best. And he's really opened heavily with army here. I thought we'd maybe see a second TC, but earlier on it looks like he sold all that stone. So crossbows with Bodkin Arrow plus knights is the plan. Can work, but it's really hard to combine 2 armies right now.
Yeah, and right now he's working with Tatoh, only has 1 of those armor upgrades at the blacksmith. Once he gets that +2 armor and the eagles get up to a total of 5 pierce armor, then they're a lot easier to use against the crossbows. Dogao has a bit of an opening before that.
Yeah, the awkward thing for Dogao right now is he needs to be forcing the issue with army, but he's not walled. There he realizes there was a gap, but eagles are just an absolute pain to have to track down like this. You don't want to have to bring your army back to chase down these eagles, but you have to if Tato's going to be able to break through. So right now, Tatoh, he's not losing any eagles. He's simply buying himself time to boom up, and this should be really good for him unless Dogao gets to his base soon.
Yeah, and he's starting to open up a villager lead, up by 9 Vils now.
Yeah, and it's just 2 TCs versus 0, right? And Dogao's just looking at his base, and everywhere he looks, there's another hole. His opponent's up to 8 fishing ships now. I mean, Tatoh is flying, and he's back again. Dogao's just still using that 1 Vil to try and wall up everything, and now the eagles are going to be through, but Tatoh actually spotted him there. So Tatoh knows he cannot dive because he would lose his army, but the longer he holds Dogao in there, the better his eco gets.
And if you're going that crossbow plus knight composition, you're lacking mobility because you're still moving at the speed of the crossbows when you need to take these fights.
Yeah. Now, what do you do if you're Tatoh, though? Eventually, that army's going to come to your base. Can you just stay on eagles, or do you need to combine something in with your eagles?
If Dogao stays on crossbows, you have to remember he's Malians. He's not going to have that bracer transition for arbalests. So you might just be able kind of to hold, wait until you get Imp, and then try to do the Imperial Age armor on the Eagles and then take a fight if you see heavy crossbows.
Yeah, I like the Siege Workshop just in case. Maybe a couple Scorpions could be helpful there. And Monks seem like a perfect addition as well to heal up your Eagles, but also to get conversions on any Knights. But we'll see. I mean, it's not going to be super easy to use the Siege if there's Knights in the middle. But even just the presence of that Siege Workshop could discourage Dogao from being aggressive.
And I guess we should mention now that if Tatoh does do ballistics, that will apply to the Scorpions.
Yeah,
so it makes them much better at chasing down those crossbows and actually getting the bolts to hit them.
Yeah, so Tato's Siege Workshop, it's not actually in the position that he would have preferred. If it was right where his Eagles were right now, I don't know if Dogao has the confidence to run through, but that is a massive army from Dogao. The Siege, again, is kind of out of position, and Tato's moved off of his gold there. So I know he does have another gold in the back, but when you move all your gold economy to another gold, that hurts your production here. He might not be able to make a lot more Siege than he has right now.
Especially since everything Tato's making now, those Eagles, that Siege, all costs gold.
Yeah. Yeah, he's off gold right now. He's got one relic, but he can't queue up Eagles. He can't queue up Siege because he hasn't been able to lock this down. Now, again, Dogao's in the same position as he was before, where he's just like, oh, I got to kill these Eagles, but he's not doing anything. I would really like to see Dogao just commit, destroy the Siege Workshop with the Knights, and just double up on your walls at home. Just don't chase those Eagles anymore.
Yeah, he needs to make sure that he's walled. He cannot have a hole at home right now, as that blue mass is... Ooh, there's a palisade gate there. That's always the weak spot in your wall.
I think he should be fine. He doesn't have stone, but he should be able to build some houses behind that gate. That Siege Workshop's going to go down unless Dogao comes back. So there's the picture-in-picture there. You could see what's happening as those Eagles are just breaking through. This is fine for Dogao. Those Eagles aren't going to be through. The Siege Workshop is down, and the Scorpion should be picked off as well. Now, I think if you get ballistics, your crossbows can maybe chase a little bit, but if you don't have ballistics, you just can't respect those Eagles right now.
Yeah, it's all about keeping the crossbows and the Knights grouped up so that the Eagles can't take one big fight against them.
Yeah, so we're going to actually be able to show you, this is sick, the Eagles trying to break through, as well as the crossbows and the Knights advancing forward. So far, Dogao is damage controlled really nicely. He's now moved on to the Monastery, and like Tato's got 32 Eagles, but they need to group up together to take a fight. And even still, with the way Dogao's controlling his army right now, I'm not sure he really has an easy opportunity to kill this force right now.
And he's going to take that hill and kill the monastery, so that's going to stop any more monks coming out to convert the Knights. And looks like Tato's just added 4 barracks and another workshop. He's going to go heavy for the Eagles and try to go Eagle Siege.
Yeah, the Eagles can fight off the Knights and the crossbows if a big mangonel shot hits here. But he's going to come back home. The issue for Dogao could be he doesn't have Siege himself to really break down TCs. You can use the Knights to take out the buildings like he has, but eventually you're going to have to take out town centers when you're all in like this.
Yeah, and he is down 82 to 55 eco units there, so he is on a bit of a time where he's not able to take a good fight.
So many Eagles. That is so many Eagles, and Tato's going to get around the crossbows, and the mangonel's coming from the other side. The crossbows might not be able to escape, and we'll see if Dogao can micro his way out of this one, but this looks terrifying for Dogao.
Well, he picks off the mangonel and he's taking the hill again. And honestly, that's not the worst fight for Dogao. He has more Knights on the way.
Yeah, it's true. And
the mangonel did not get a hit.
He's still got 20 crossbows. He's still got 15 Knights. Tatoh now doesn't have monks to heal up or anything. He doesn't have any more siege. Nice shot from Dogao there. It looked like he had that mangonel hit. It would have been the GG fight, but he didn't lose many crossbows.
Yeah, now the army sizes are pretty similar, but pound for pound, Knights are better than Eagles, especially when the monks aren't there to convert them. And that hill, just so good for Dogao to hold right in the middle of Tato's base on that gold.
So Tatoh wants a castle, but he doesn't want to have to place a castle right now. He wants to clear up that army and then place the castle to protect the front of his base. But I just feel like maybe if you have this eco lead, you could still place a castle somewhat defensively at your base and just protect the eco you have now.
And remember, Incas do get cheaper castles, so it's easier if you do one at home and then your second castle earlier on wherever you want it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're just playing this game again. Both destroying each other's buildings. Tatoh doesn't want to have to give full respect to Dogao's army. Dogao doesn't want to have to give respect to Tato's army. So, combination of the two, but as we're in a building destruction battle, Tato's still got a 30 villager lead, right? Like, Dogao hasn't really done much to affect Tato's economy here.
And he's still fishing. He still has all the water control. But this could be a good fight with all those knights out. It's hard to catch and surround the eagles. They're so speedy.
Ooh, this is big, though, because the knights are out of position. Tatoh has an opportunity to build that castle. So it was nice patience from him. He will lose some eagles, but seeing the whole group of knights, he's able to build the castle where we just were moments ago. So this is still not an easy fight for Tatoh to take with that many knights and crossbows, but the fact that he's able to get the castle up is very nice. He can get back on gold. And then Dogao is going to be wondering yet again, is like, what am I supposed to do to break this guy?
Yeah, and at this point, Tato's about to hit 100 villagers, and Dogao really needs to take a fight here. Maybe he's going to commit under the castle and try to pick the mangonel.
Honestly, I think this is the best fight for Dogao, as weird as this may look. He's on top of the hill. It's before the castle gets more ranged upgrades. He could still disrupt the gold. Dogao is winning the fight. We see the villagers coming from Dogao. He will deny that gold. And Dogao, despite being down 30 villagers, just does not stop coming forward, T-West.
And now the tricky thing for Dogao is he needs to keep pushing and force Tatoh to keep making eagles. He doesn't want to let him get imp where he could potentially get into that Trebor.
But how much gold does Tatoh actually have available right now? I'm really curious on that. Okay, so he's got a lot. He's got 4K to work with. Maybe if Dogao could make a couple Gebettos, though. I mean, Gebetto is such a great addition to this army that he has because it's full infantry he's up against. This could be... Tatoh still has to address this army before he's in imp.
Yeah, absolutely. But look at those resources. He's at about 800 gold, 800 food. He's thinking of going imp. And, well, this could decide the game if Dogao can get a good push with that army and hit Tatoh before he can make that transition. Because there he goes, looking up.
And Dogao's adding his third TC. But will imp make a difference for Tatoh? Tato's got a lot to protect himself with right now. That TC from Tatoh is solely to protect that space because he knows Dogao's going to be through. Dogao's got to continue to move on. Now, he's got enough damage output with those knights to start taking out TCs. But as always, it's just enough army from Tatoh to make Dogao second guess going in there.
Yeah, and once Tatoh gets up, he can, of course, do the armor on those eagles, and that's going to mean the crossbows do only 1 damage, so they're going to become pretty much useless at that point.
I think Dogao needs to... I know it might not work, but he's got to go in. He's got to go back in and start to destroy these TCs. He has to do something more. Maybe getting some control in the south there on the stone and the gold could be good. But if this is just a waiting game, see, now Tato's dropping another castle. Like, if he's just hanging out, Tatoh is just going to treb him right back.
Yeah, and it's those cheap Inca castles. He can even do a third one if he wants. He has all the stone for it.
Yeah, maybe a third one on the gold islands would make sense. Actually, it's very hard to place castles in there. I think there might be a spot or two he could squeeze one in, though. And Dogao's just kind of hit a wall here, T-West. He isn't able to make any more progress. He's catching up economically, but he still hasn't clicked up to imp, and Tato's 50 seconds away.
Yeah, and he's at this point, he's going to have to hope that he can just hold and hope for a longer game, because Tato's going to treb down that forward castle and clear it, and once he gets imp, he's going to have the upgrades on the eagles to fight the army.
A lot of patience here from Tatoh. Because you could maybe think about taking this fight now with 63 army, but he doesn't want to.
He knows he's up to imp, and he knows he's going to get the upgrades.
A defensive castle. That castle's in the back of his base right there, so just in case more pressure comes in. And so I think Tatoh has pretty much played this perfectly in terms of defense. He now makes it imp, and Dogao's heart's going to sink. Because he probably knew it was coming, but he still hasn't been able to click up to the Imperial Age yet.
Yeah, and it just felt like he was even taking good fights the entire time, but just never quite had that overwhelming army advantage to push into all those TCs that Tatoh had.
And where can Dogao pressure here? Normally we have some idea of what's possible. But with how Tato's playing this, it's just like anywhere Dogao goes to raid, Tatoh will have a castle. It almost feels inevitable that the castle in the middle is going to get trebbed down. And now the Elite Eagles on the other side from Tatoh are going to go raid the TC. That is the Imperial Age TC.
Oh, no.
Imperial Age is going to be denied potentially.
Oh, how did he get it in that TC? Well, it's going to force a fight. It's going to force a fight with Gebettos and Knights. And the question is, does Tatoh realize that's the imp TC if he sees Dogao forcing a fight there?
Yeah, I mean, I think even if it's not the imp TC, it's probably a fight Dogao has to take because that's 15 villagers that he can't afford to lose. And Tatoh is just going to clear up every single knight here with these Elite Eagles. and Tatoh is trebbing in the middle of the map. Dogao is just completely dead here.
And Tato's going to clean up those crossbows, no problem. And, well, Dogao's going to repair the TC. He might actually make it to Imp, though. He clears the army of Eagles, but he's going to call the GG.
Yep, taps out, calls the GG here. I mean, he's losing his castle in the middle of the map there. And I would love to see, if possible, the resources collected before we come back to us. Resources collected there's got to be huge for Tatoh, right?
I just saw it at the bottom. It was 39K to 31K.
Yeah, 31K. It was just good patience there, in my opinion, from Tatoh, too. Pretty much early Castle Age, he handled perfectly. Because eventually it did get to that point where the Knights and the Crossbow combination became a problem for the Eagles. But by the time he had to really face the problem, by the time he had to take the fight, he already had a 20 or 30 Vil lead. So it goes back to those Eagles looping around Dogao's base, denying those walls, meaning Dogao had to chase, and then everything he did with that time. You don't see a player play that perfectly in offense and defense that frequently, like the quadruple castle on the map, I think it was at that point, on the back of winning water. It was just perfect game one for Tatoh.
Ever since he won the water early on, he had that slight lead, and everything he did after that just maintained that lead, maintained that eco presence that he had until he was able to get to Imp faster.
Yeah, and Incas was a really cool pick there. I really like that because I find it very difficult to go water and get a lot of value from archers and then have to mix in like scouts, let's say, right? So Tatoh said, what simplifies my water play is actually the fact that anything I make on land is just out of one building.
Just out of that barracks.
Just out of those Eagles. Yeah, he didn't have to go. I know it's cheaper for Malians, but he didn't have to go barracks, archer range, stable. He just one barracks, and then it followed it up with the second barracks. It was super smooth.
Yeah, and how often do we see two barracks in Feudal Age?
Yeah, not that frequently. Yeah, it was really smart. Obviously, he combined it with walls, too. Almost reminds me of, like, recently in Wandering Warriors Cup was Stranded, where there was a heavy focus on water, and then later in the rounds, we saw Incas and Aztecs picked for the same reason. Right. You could just produce those Eagles. I think it really simplifies your game.
Maybe Tato's learning something from that tournament.
Yeah, maybe. I think we'll see. Production did tell me that we're going to something else next, but I did not hear what we're sending you to, but I'm sure it's going to be great.
Okay, we have a short ad clip we're going to be watching.
Okay.
And now, a word from our partners. Back then, a pocket watch told you the time. If it wasn't broken, that is. Today, the Hammer smartwatches do so much more. From monitoring your health to managing your schedule, and even keeping you on time for the next Age of Empires final, everything is just a glance away. And they do it in magnificent style. Make more of your time. Hammer.
Well, that was very nice of Doubt to help with the advertising and the modeling for this event.
I mean, who wouldn't want Doubt to be advertising your product?
Yeah. We've heard that there might be big companies prying Doubt away from the Age of Empires 2 scene. So enjoy the moments you can with Doubt. I think he's going to be in a lot of big ads soon. So
I think he increases the sale of your product about 10,000%.
10,000%. Yeah, I think that's a real stat. I think it's a real stat. Well, that was very well done. I loving the old-timey ads and whatnot. I will say that I looked up like old-fashioned sayings. I'm not going to go for it. I think I'm just going to embarrass myself. Okay. But I've got a couple if the time presents itself this week.
I'm interested to hear them now.
Yeah.
You have me excited for them.
Yeah, it's not great. So we could head back to the draft, talk a little bit about what could come game number 2 and what Dogao is going to want to focus on here. Game 1 was hybrid. He's got some other hybrid options, but I believe it was Tide Pool and then Dry River as his other option.
Yeah, Dry River, an interesting pick for Dogao. But I guess we do kind of think of him and Tatoh kind of picking the same style of map, so he might not want to go always for the hybrid maps in his drafts.
Yeah. Dry River's not necessarily hybrid per se, because you don't have the potential to dock. I could go pretty aggressive there with a lot of different civilizations on land. I think Tide Pool, this is the tricky part of the matchup. It's like Tide Pool is a comfort pick for Dogao, but it's also a comfort pick for Tatoh. So it's a tough one, and it's maybe why Tatoh has had Dogao's number over the years. They're actually talking there. I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about. I wish we had mics on them.
Yeah, here they're between game conversations there.
But yeah, it is Tide Pool and Dry River. So we obviously just saw the Malians go down there for Dogao. And I would say Armenian's likely his Tide Pool pick. Berber's probably his Copenhagen pick. Bedouins could be maybe
That could be
Romans.
Romans could be Bedouins or Dry River because they will gather ever so slightly faster from those shorefish.
Yeah, I think Romans on Dry River makes sense. But I think you've got to go Dry River here if you're Dogao and keep Tatoh off water for a little bit. You could potentially go for Bedouins or Copenhagen, one of Tato's home maps, but
I'd be afraid of facing Tatoh on Bedouins with the Chinese, though. With the 9 villager start and all the extra villas they have on that nomad start where you don't need to do the dock, I think they're going to be a really tough civ to face.
Tato's draft is absolutely insane, actually, because Chinese can be amazing on Copenhagen, too. So Copenhagen and Bedouins are two very different style maps, but I'd say Chinese on Copenhagen or Bedouin, so that's a lock. And then, man, it really makes me think, like, Dogao picked Armenians first, right? Like, he picked Armenians. Remember, the way it works, I hope we could have the draft form as we go and do a live draft at some point this week so people see it. But there's bans, and then there's your first
one
civ
pick
before the maps.
Right. So all you know is the maps that are in the map pool. You don't know specifically the maps that you're playing. And your first pick is just based on, do you think there's going to be a lot of water maps played? Maybe that's why Dogao, knowing Tatoh was his opponent, went for the Armenians.
Exactly. So, but now that you look at it, like, and then you see Copenhagen and Bedouins, I think Tatoh certainly did a good job of picking maps that Chinese can be really good on. I can't really say there's any questions on any of Tato's top 3 civilizations, but like Huns is a maybe for me on Dry River. Potentially Fast Castle Cav Archers on Bedouins. I could see that working present day meta. And yeah, we got game number 2 coming up. We'll see. We'll see what Dogao chooses to do here. But I mean, with the way things have looked between these guys over the years, certainly going to need to bounce back, I think, in game number 2 here.
As we transition again to ourselves instead of the game.
Yeah, I think we'll be in the game.
I think we're going to do this like every time, and we're going to be surprised every time.
Yeah. We should be in here soon. So, Dogao, as we've got our match countdown there, beautiful. Dogao looking to tie it up here, score 1-1, and we are on Dry River. So, we got Militia on the field already. So we are in 17. Well, this is a very early drush. What in the world?
We are 4 minutes in, so we missed a bit of the start. We already see Goths for Tatoh against Romans for Dogao. Now, there's a lot of hunt in the middle of this map, and the Goths will have their discount on the swordsman line. So 2 things working in their favor for this early drush. Maybe Tatoh thinking of maybe laming some of those ostriches on the other side with the militia.
Yeah. So Tato's certainly been spotted here. I know we missed the early going. I'd love to see Dogao's Fog of War because Dogao usually you go to the middle to build the mill there, and Dogao I think spotted Tatoh. And Tatoh might have even potentially run into Dogao's TC at one point because his scout is weak. And so he's wisely stayed away from the middle. So benefit to Tatoh to push his opponent out of the middle, but he was spotted, and he hasn't killed anything with this investment yet.
Now, we were talking earlier about will players try to hide strategies for later rounds. This feels like something of a unique strategy, but maybe if he's showing it off, he doesn't have the biggest confidence in it so far, just trying to experiment with it in the first round.
I think like it's super hard to save a strat when you've got to play players at this level all week. And also it's, as we said, like there's civilizations that could just be banned out. So it makes life incredibly difficult. I think what will be interesting is to see if, like, let's say this works day 1. Do other players see it in the room and then try it themselves later on in the week? You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's some walling there from Dogao. He just wants to keep that house alive. But so far, Tato's 3 militia didn't actually accomplish too much, and Dogao's completely fine here.
Well, it does let Tatoh basically take the fish in the middle for free. And again, the fish are the fastest food source you'll have in the game. So it is a nice boost to have your mill up there in the middle where your opponent doesn't.
Yeah, it's true. Dogao's going to see that, so Dogao will know that's a target. Do you think it's worth it to build defensive towers in the middle here? Like, base your strategy around a couple towers in the middle?
I think it can be in the right situation. It's kind of tricky just to wall everything because of how many small lakes there are and how how close you need to be to the mills, but it definitely can be worth it.
Yeah. I think in Tato's case, he might consider it because he doesn't have any army yet. And he knows he's been spotted, and he knows there's archers on the way already. So if your archer range is this late, I think you got to be creative. And actually, on that note, he's making more militia right now at home. So
Tato's not even feudal.
Yeah, like, so Tato's going to go 5 man-at-arms, potentially 6.
I mean, they are cheap for the Goths, but it's tricky to use them against archers. Dogao doesn't yet have too many archers out, but he will have that production advantage being able to feudal so much earlier.
Yeah, those 2 militia just enough to stop Dogao from diving for a villager kill. And so Dogao will know it's going to be man-at-arms and skirms. I love the idea from Tatoh, but on paper, still no skirms out, and Dogao's about to have his 3rd archer, so this could be really dangerous.
If the archers don't have fletching yet, so maybe if you just get 1 or 2 skirms out, you can push them back. Oh, we might have a house destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, Dogao's not going to be too stressed about that one there, but that's what the other militia are doing. Man-at-arms will certainly help with that. And there's the tech. But I will say this, Tatoh is basically playing with a messier style. It is way harder to execute in Dogao's position right now. Like, if Dogao's micro isn't perfect, he's going to get completely overrun, and things could get really antsy for him.
Yeah, and those men-at-arms attacking the house, at least they're not raiding villagers or really hurting the eco. They've been small walled out.
Yeah, but Tatoh hasn't lost any vills. That's been the theme. He's had access to the shorefish and the hunt. Dogao has been able to make his way to one area of that. And I honestly think we don't really have time to talk about it right now, but I think as Dogao's going to lose his scout, I think it's okay if you just have 1 mill on shorefish. As long as you're transitioning towards farms, your eco is going to be super safe, and your opponent's eco is just going to be exposed in the middle. So I think Dogao's approach is still pretty okay, in my opinion.
But here we do have that timing advantage, where right now Dogao, he's done the archers. He hasn't really been able to add in that 2nd unit. So the skirmishers right now have a huge advantage just because the only unit Dogao has on the field is countered, or is what they counter.
Oh, man, this is sloppy for Dogao. He needs that house. He's pop-capped right now. So he was counting on that house to go up. Now the army's here. So his TC goes idle for quite a while here. And man, Tatoh, he's just pouncing constantly. He's got so much army. 15 army versus 6 at the moment.
Yeah, and because he's housed, he's not getting that scout out in time to fight the skirmishers.
Yeah, he needed the numbers, right? We said, like, Tato's gone for the numbers. Tato's made it messy, and Tato's got all those shorefish in the middle, and Tatoh gets another pick off here. Tatoh just... He's playing with so much confidence right now. Look at him. Look at the way he stares at the screen as well. He's like so
He's like
focused.
an assassin there.
It's terrifying, dude. Tatoh finds the vills. Finds the vills in the middle, and Tato's been taking more risks to take the middle resources, but he just has army everywhere, and Dogao cannot keep up with it.
And just having a few men-at-arms added in makes it so much easier to kill the villagers. The skirmishes themselves don't do that much damage, but the men-at-arms are just running around sniping vills.
Yeah, and those vills are so weak as well. And I mean, does Dogao have the army yet to even be able to defend these vills? The skirms for Tatoh are still out to kill archers. There's still man-at-arms mixed in. Tato's going to get armor now as well. And Tatoh clearly just sending it here. He doesn't really seem to care because he's just going to make more army. The archers are getting focused down. The scouts maybe can push this back now, but if I'm not wrong, I think there's a couple spears behind. Unless Tatoh... I think Tatoh lost multiple spearmen to the villagers, actually. That was a little sloppy.
And now there's 1 spear, but the men-at-arms are down. That 1 spear, though, is just going to do so much damage to those weak scouts.
Yeah, so a bit of vital TC as well from Tatoh. Things got really messy there. Resources collected, still a lead for Tatoh, but he also has exposed villagers everywhere in the middle. So if he loses a fight, things could be awkward for him with 15 villagers out about in the middle.
Tatoh's adding in another barracks in the middle.
Yeah, so he's going to play Spearman Skirm. The spears are still cheaper with the Goths. Skirmishers, just, you know, normal skirms, but he's got the food eco, he's got the wood eco. But can he, if Dogao towers there and Dogao is fully walled elsewhere, it's actually quite difficult for Tatoh to find a lot of damage, honestly.
Oh, and Tatoh has a hole in his wall again between that straggler and the edge of the map over there.
I think is there a hole there as well? There's a couple holes in Tatoh's wall. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. If his spearmen are forward right now, he might end up regretting that one. But of course, now he gets a hit there. Dogao's going to be annoyed with that. And we'll see if Dogao finds that gap. It might not even be worth running in there because you could be trapped.
And he needs to avoid all the pokes
Yeah.
while also microing at home.
Yeah, and he's not fully walled at home yet either. So Tato's going to run through. I don't know. It just, so far, it seems to me like Dogao is not quite warmed up here at like the LAN yet. You know what I mean? Like, he obviously they've been seeing practice games. Maybe it's a speed difference between the two of them, but Tatoh is just on top of him all the time, and there's been no missteps from Tatoh.
Everything in his army composition has been in the right position at the right time.
Yeah, and here's a good example of it. He kills all that army, and he has spears and he has man-at-arms around to defend as Dogao tries to counterattack too. It's just been perfect from Tatoh.
Yeah, now he's getting right in on that gold, and that was the gold for the archers that Dogao had been hoping to make, but that's a lot of skirms there.
Tatoh, it's not every day that you see this, but Tatoh has just gone for crazy amounts of army, right? Usually you see pros trying to play it like Dogao, and you just add a little bit of army and micro it to the best of its potential. But Tato's made probably over 10 spearmen. He's up to 7 man-at-arms. He's on 8 skirms. I mean, he's got 25 army, T-West. We're 17 minutes into the game. He's already lost 20 units. Like, he's just been producing out of every single building.
And he still has an army of that size. That's on this map, sometimes the mobility comes not just through mobile units like scouts, but through having enough numbers to have your army in different places.
Yeah, so Dogao is making enough army to deal with a normal play, but Tatoh is far from normal here, and Tatoh is going to take probably another good fight here, assuming the man-at-arms and spearmen hit the scouts. And the crazy thing is he's actually queued up more man-at-arms behind this. So there's 17 total man-at-arms created in the game. The GG's called, and Tatoh just stomps Dogao in game number 2.
And, well, the Goths usually not the civ you think of as a pretty high up option in your drafts, but finding a map to use them on here just played them really, really well.
It's wild to me that Tatoh has won game number 1 and game number 2 with his final 2 picks on his draft.
I think is in Goths.
Yeah, just like the 2
infantry
picks,
civs.
The 2 picks we weren't actually even sure he was going to play with, he has completely dominated with so far. Just a perfect opening from him, very well played, and I feel Dogao, just another example of he's not quite able to match up to what Tatoh brings to the table. Tatoh in the first game played more of the adaptive style and out-adapted him, and then Tatoh in the second game went full aggressive.
He just dictated that entire game right from the start with those militia.
Yeah, well played there, and you can see the KD 27-20 there from Tatoh. But the units created, he just created 3 times the amount of units. He was always producing out of his barracks, always producing out of his ranges, had a combination of all of those producing. And I think it was nice adaptation from Dogao in the early stages because he didn't have his vills exposed against the early militia. But what he struggled with there was getting any damage with the early archers. What might have been nice, because Tato's expecting those archers in the middle. What if Dogao sends those archers over to the woodline or like the main base of Tatoh? It didn't feel like Tatoh had anything at home.
That might be interesting because Tatoh wanted to do his archery range in the middle of the map, and that's where he was producing the skirms. Dogao might have had a bit more time to wait for a bigger archer mats and get fletching if he wasn't going right to where the archery range is being constructed.
Yeah, exactly. But it's easier said than done. And I know a lot of people are going to be saying, but Romans, like, why not go man-at-arms with Romans? But I think it snowballed on Dogao a little too quickly there. I think by the time he realized that Tatoh was actually going to invest beyond the 5 man-at-arms, he maybe had taken too much damage there.
Also, everything Tatoh was making there was just food units. The men-at-arms, the spears, the skirms, and he had all that food from the shorefish in the middle.
Yeah.
Dogao didn't really have access to any of that.
Yeah, Dogao's a funny guy. I wish people could hear what Dogao was saying right now. And I also wonder, like, how much information is Tatoh giving back right now? What is Dogao saying? Is Dogao like, I didn't think you were going to go Goths against me? Like, we'll see, but they're chatting back and forth. So this time, this NAC, now that we're noble, right? Now that we're noble here at NAC, they're no longer apart from each other. They're like kind of to the side, which is a little bit different. I don't know if there's a good angle of that, but that's why they're like looking to the right and the left.
Yeah, they're not like directly facing each other. We have more room now.
Yeah,
we can spread them out a bit.
Did we have an issue with a player kicking somebody? Was that it?
Did we?
No, I don't think so. But I'm just thinking, like, I mean, you could have previously. I guess you can't.
I mean, we have some tall players here. I can imagine Doubt could kick across the entire room.
Yeah, that would be a scandal right there. The player steps on another player's toe or in the middle of a micro battle.
Player kicks their power cable.
Yeah, exactly. So Well, we'll see. It's been a strong opening so far for Tatoh, to be expected. Dogao maybe looking a little dejected in the back room already, but he does have one more home map. I mean, okay, so let's say Dogao right now, bit of a defeatist mindset, but let's say he figures, okay, this series is a wrap. I'm probably not going to beat Tatoh. Does he want to show what he's going to do on Tide Pool? His home map? Like, if you're going to lose...
If you're going to go Tide Pool with Armenians, do you think you have a special strategy, or are you just kind of playing meta and it doesn't matter if you show it?
It's probably meta, but you know, maybe you leave some things up to the imagination on how you might play. Because at this level, right, like, is it 2 dock galleys? Is it like 3 dock fires? That could make a difference. Is it back dock? Is it middle dock? So, I mean,
that's true. There are a lot of ways to play that map.
Correct. So, like, I'm thinking, again, maybe as someone who is a little bit more experienced losing, what if you just go to one of Tato's home maps? Because if you win on Tato's home map, then you get some momentum suddenly, still saving your home map in your back pocket. And then you get to, if you lose on Tato's home map, then whatever you lost, and then you save, you don't show anybody who you could potentially play tomorrow what you're going to do on your home map.
Do you think his home map picks are more just maps he wants to play, or maps that he wants to play specifically versus Tatoh?
Definitely just maps he wants to play. Like, Dogao didn't draft for his opponent here. He drafted for himself. I also think Tatoh is one of the hardest players to draft for because he's good on everything, right? There's some other players you could be like, okay, we pick this map, that map. They're going to be at least uncomfortable, but Tato's comfortable everywhere. So I think Dogao just drafted for his own skill set, and it just straight up has not worked so far.
And it is a tricky matchup, as we said, against Tatoh.
Yeah. But if we go to Tato's home maps, he has really good civs for. I think he's got Malay, Chinese, Portuguese. Yeah, he's got some good options. So either way, it's going to be tricky, but we're going to send you to a little clip.
And now, a word from our partners. The rise of modern technology takes its toll on all of us. Hours and hours at your desk leads to stiff necks, aching shoulders, sore lower backs. But there is a solution. Back Force. The Back Force 1 Plus doesn't just stand like a rock on the digital battlefield, it transforms the way you sit. With Gamer Pulse LED lighting lasting up to 20 hours, this chair is more than just a seat. It's a throne. Personalize it with patches for your nickname, clan tag, or any custom text. Because your chair should be as unique as you are. Every Backforce chair comes in a wide variation in colors, including this noble white and gold or black and gold colorway, and the Gamerlegion Special Edition. Sit like a king with Backforce.
We should definitely have crowns like that. I think that's the missing part of the costume.
Yeah, seriously, that was funny. Everything, I was enjoying the ad, but I think the cherry on top was the ending scene there.
And we have those props sitting around the studio now. We have that typewriter somewhere.
Yeah.
I've been told that it's an actual typewriter we can type on.
Have you ever typed with a typewriter before?
I haven't.
I actually have.
You have, really?
Yes, I have, yes. For whatever reason, there was one around my house growing up. And
okay.
I typed on it. I actually typed out a little letter to my grandmother.
That explains your familiarity with technology.
Thank you for that. I knew bringing up that I once typed on a typewriter would not mean good things for me, both here and in the Twitch chat. But yeah, that was cool stuff. I have to say that the noble theme and the colors in those chairs also looks really cool.
It does. The gold and the white and black go pretty nobly together.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So game number 3 coming up here soon. We'll see what Dogao chooses to go for. But if we could head back to the draft to speculate a little bit, because we got to I want to talk about where, if this reverse sweep starts to happen, where Dogao's going to find some success with the civs. Looks like we have game 3 on the way actually here. Game number 3. Will it be on Tide Pool? Or will it be on Tato's home map?
Tide Pool.
And Dogao is going to go for his final home map. He's got the, looks like the Armenians, and then we have the Malay. So the civilization icon bottom right, correct. We'll fix that on the screen there.
Yeah, so pretty much the civs you'd expect for this map, 2 very water-focused civs. The Malay, of course, with their faster up timings, and the Armenians. Eventually, you can get to Cilician Fleet for the extra blast radius on the demos. And how amazing would it be if Dogao is able to start this comeback against Tatoh with demos.
Yeah, that would be sick. I mean, I think Armenians have a lot of potential here, but I'm really curious on how they're going to choose to play this. So you've got the middle water region, and then you've got the outer water. Dogao so far has docked the outside, and so this could mean maybe more of a passive play from him, and Tatoh has docked the middle.
That's a lot of nice fish by that southern dock. He had 5 deep fish there.
Yeah, so number 1 pick from Dogao, down 2 games. You win this, and still you maybe have some things that are going to be difficult for you with the way the draft is shaping up. But wants to gain some confidence here. Was ranked 10th out of 10 from everyone who was asked. Many people just seem to think that he is going to struggle against some of the others. But I was really impressed with how he played in the qualifier. I think from what I know of Dogao's potential, I think he certainly could perform better than that, but it just hasn't been it so far today, unfortunately, for him.
It looks like he's getting a bit of a lame there, stealing one of Tato's sheep or sheep equivalents there. I think they have pigs on this map. So a bit of a nice boost for him there.
Yeah, so now that you see Tato's dock the middle, you have a decision to make if you're Dogao. Option 1 is you just build a dock in the middle to try and potentially pressure and kill those fishing ships. But if you do that and Tatoh spots that you're docked there, then you're going to have to add... then you're going to need like a second dock, and Tatoh could match your second dock easily because of his initial one. So I think typically what happens is players, because their economies are so tight, they're happy to just take their fish where they can, and they may even play in towards land. They're actually pretty close together on land here.
I feel like Dogao's probably happy to see the dock in the middle and not on the outside, so he knows that his fish are going to be safe against the uptiming.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
And looking
to think about this.
Looking at Tato's scouting there real quick, I don't think he saw exactly where Dogao had docked yet.
And Tato's vision, yeah, true. He didn't scout much at all, and so naturally he's going to scout the front. This is what I mean. If he scouts that Dogao is building a dock here, he just needs to build one more dock himself, and he's up 2-1 in the middle. So because of that, Dogao's not docking. And if Dogao knows that Tatoh, if you check Dogao's scouting, he just scouted that Tatoh hasn't docked the outside. So this is going to be, naturally, they're maybe going to spend their resources and other things. And I think Dogao's building a barracks now.
Yeah, and we're again seeing those stealing of the sheep, now scouting the water on the outside, just extra checking to make sure Tatoh doesn't have a dock around the north.
And Tato's actually adding a galley. Pretty surprising to me. I mean, in theory, you can block all potential docks, but you really have to have that galley patrolling perfectly. And he is going to drop a dock in the very back corner there. So Dogao might not spot that, but I'm wondering now, does Tatoh know that Dogao is going for scouts at all here? Because there's just so much to look for right now.
There's so much to scout. There's both the inside and the outside water.
He doesn't even know where he is. He has no clue where he is. If you look at his scouting, he doesn't have any indicators. And it's a bit of a weird generation, so he's going to be surprised by this. And kind of untypical of Tatoh, did not have any scouting intel to make decisions. This could get out of hand pretty quickly if he's not careful.
Yeah, because you see on Tidepool, you're not always in the middle of your section of the land. You're on this raised hill, but Tato's over on kind of the far side, whereas Dogao's more situated in the middle where you'd expect to be.
Yeah, so I think like Tato's guessing a lot right now. He's assuming there's going to be some fish on the outside somewhere for Dogao, but he doesn't know where. Now he finds Dogao, but he's not exactly finding the fact that there's 3 scouts on the field. There's 3 scouts on the field, and they've just hit that gold. Looks like 2 of them has, and so good job for Tatoh not to lose Vils, but he's still been completely surprised by this.
Yeah, and looking at Tato's map, I don't think he has other gold to access right now. It's just that front one.
Yeah, it could be tough. Actually, gold is a big factor on this map too. In Dogao's case, a lot of his golds are actually all positioned on the front. So all the more important that he continues with the aggression. But finally, there's some momentum for Dogao here in this series. It feels like the whole series has been all about Tato's momentum. And he's still not able to get the villager pick, but this is nice damage.
It is, absolutely, and it's going to force Tatoh to do that barracks and start making some spears at home.
Yeah, so I think with the way things are looking right now, the only thing that could start to get a little awkward for Dogao would be if his fish actually get spotted, because he's not doing any navy on the outside. So Tato's got a fire galley somewhere. It's probably going to be on his way. And yeah, there it is. So this could start to get a little awkward for Dogao. He doesn't know that Tatoh added that dock in the back corner.
But at least for Dogao, he's fished most of the fish that are in the south there anyway, and he already has that second dock all the way in the right corner.
Yeah, but things can get a little bit more difficult microing your scouts now if you've got fire galleys to contend with. And we might see, this is an example, like he's
Right
looking
there.
at his fish right now. And then you also may feel the need to wall your base, and you also may feel the need to add an archer range. Again, you could just tell Dogao he's just a little distracted here, and he loses 2 of those scouts to that spearman.
And I feel like we've seen that happen pretty much every game so far. Dogao having scouts where they're standing still for just 1 or 2 seconds too long, and the spears get their pokes.
I think honestly a lot of it is just adapting to being in this environment, because I've been watching him play in the training games in the back room, and like things have been pretty crisp for him back there. So I think, you know, the pressure of the moment, it being your first series, now being down a game, and things are adding up every now and then. Well played from Tatoh. I mean, Tatoh didn't have all that information, right? Tatoh still hasn't lost a villager. Tatoh still hasn't lost a unit this game.
Yeah, and sometimes just, you know, you can guess what your opponents are doing just because what you haven't scouted. You'll see that they don't have the buildings in the middle, so you just send that fire on the outside hoping to find something, and now he's found the second dock as well.
Yeah, it was a little greedy from Dogao. I mean, to not add a single fire galley in defense, certainly went for the greedy approach to try and get to Castle Age faster. He is on the way up, but at a cost here. He did sell all of his stone, so no stone available for TCs or towers. But here, he'll probably lose 1 fish. I think he's going to lose 1 fish here. He's going to lose it. He's going to
block with another
He's going
one.
to lose it. He's going to lose it. He saves it. Let's go. All right, well, saves the fishing ship. And we'll see what he does in Castle Age here. I mean, he still hasn't built an archer range.
Looks like he killed a scout there, and he's going to dock the middle.
Ooh, okay, so that's a really interesting play here. Because if he can snag War Galley on one of his outer docks, just 1 fire going to the middle would kill all of Tato's fishing ships, potentially.
Yep, when you get to the Castle Age and upgrade to the fire ships, you become much more effective at killing enemy fish.
And I think Tatoh did add some fish on the outside, so I guess that would still be safe for him. Yeah, he's got the 3 there. And Tatoh still isn't clicked up. It feels like there's a big difference here, but really when the Malay are involved, that's not going to be the case. But I think Tato's missing a second building right now.
Yeah, and I think Dogao's got to be happy if he gets up well before the Malay, just because of how quickly they go up. It usually kind of surprises you if you're up first against them.
Tatoh doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, but there were 2 things that I would mention. Being late on the second building happens every now and then also being late on wheelbarrow happens every now and then with Tatoh. So he finally clicks up, but he could have been in Castle Age 30 or 45 seconds faster here.
And that makes such a huge difference when you're the Malay, too. Especially if you're attacking with the spears, because they get that free armor, and Vils wouldn't be able to fight back as well.
Yeah, true. Monastery there from Dogao. That gives him a free relic with the Armenians. He'll probably look to get more relics right now. And there's the War Galley upgrade, and Tato's about to be surprised on the middle water. So, interesting approach from Dogao. He went land opening, fast cast, well, you know, up to castle, and now he's just going to go full water in both the middle and on the outside. I like the idea.
Yeah, and that should give him a nice fishing advantage if he can get the fires to that back corner in time. It's a pretty long way to sail around, too, and I don't know exactly where he's going to end up sending them, because he might still want to protect his own fish, too.
Does Dogao know about those stables? They're right next to him. He has no clue. And Tatoh is building 3 stables. And, okay, well, Dogao's going to see it now. And Tatoh going light cav. So light cav's a smart play, knowing your opponent's probably going to go out for those relics. That'll be a pickoff from Tatoh. But now in the middle, Dogao, yeah, he's going to be able to take the water control with those fires.
Yeah, and Dogao is just going to have to react to those stables, but they are the Malay. They don't have that second armor upgrade for their cavalry lines. Usually you don't think of Malay stables as being threatening unless maybe he's going to go for elephants, as it looks like he is for elephants queued up
He's
right
actually
now.
going to go elephants, yeah. This is crazy, right? I guess if you have light cav, you don't need to be scared of the monks. And also, like, Dogao's only way of fighting back the light cav is actually warrior priests, because he doesn't have faith in anything else, and warrior priests can't convert. They can only attack. So if Dogao is making a bunch of monks right now, maybe the elephants would make sense. He's going to elephant rush that monastery down in a second.
And right now, look at the positions of the stables, too. They're right on all 3 of those 4 golds from Dogao. It's going to make it tricky for him to take gold in the long run, too.
That's really nice value right there. That fire ship will kill all 3 of those fish. Here come the elephants, though. What is happening? Dogao's never expecting this. Nobody does this at a high level. And Tato's just waiting with those light cap for any monks. The elephants destroy buildings super quick. I really think Tatoh should just take down the fortified church right away here.
And immediately we see that barracks there for Dogao, but right now he's doing the pikeman upgrade. He needs to get numbers out. That's going to be a lot of very cheap elephants from the Belay.
Dogao's probably like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, no way. It's one thing to get swept. It's another thing to die to elephant rush from Tatoh. Tatoh's got 10 elephants here. The church will go down, and by the time he gets pikemen out, I don't know if he's going to have the numbers to compete with this many elephants.
You need a lot of pikemen. I mean, we talked about pikemen versus knights in the Castle Age. Pikemen versus elephant can be even worse.
Yeah, and it's just straight up momentum now from Tatoh. It's crazy because Dogao has all that water control. Dogao's going to be on 20 fishing ships, but can he hold from the Malay elephant stampede?
I mean, right now Tatoh even has more res collected too.
Yeah, but like, if Tatoh didn't hit this fast, Dogao would have such a massive eco lead, it wouldn't even be close. The timing on this from Tatoh is incredible.
Especially as Dogao is just reinvesting into the water there, so all of his resources were going into those fire ships, not to anything that would counter the elephants on land.
I think you need to just breathe if you're Dogao. I mean, hopefully he's breathing, but you have to get a couple monks out. You have to get more pikes before taking an engagement. That right there, losing one pikeman, that's the type of thing that can hurt you. You need to keep those numbers up. But it's so hard when Tatoh is just going to bum rush down your TC.
And Dogao's no army. He has no pikemen out. He can't stop this at all.
Yeah, and any pikes he does have, he
even the
might
monk
be forced to engage with. That monk just gets picked off, and oh my god. Tatoh is insane, dude. What a strategy. 3 stables on the front against Armenians, the civilization that has one of the best pikes and best monks in the game.
You're not getting timing for those upgrades, though. It's just, they were just so fast from Tatoh right at the perfect moment. And the elephant's just going to take out the churches. No more monks are going to come out.
It's just so comical, dude. It just doesn't feel like a normal situation.
And Dogao doesn't have a TC right now. He's trying to build one more in the back.
Yeah.
But he's playing 0 TCs.
I feel so bad for Dogao. And it's really fun to be a caster, really fun to be a viewer right now. But what is happening to him is going to be painful. Not the start he would have wanted. Tatoh, he wins 3-0, and what a dominating performance from Tatoh. Pretty much every step of the way felt like he was on top here.
Absolutely. That elephant rush, just the icing on the cake from him. But the first game, winning the water, going Eagles. The second game, the Goth rush, and here, Malay elephants.
It's a shame because I think Dogao's scouting was actually so good that game, but you could tell where it failed him. Not realizing that it was 3 stable commitment hurt him, and he found out about that a little too late after losing a warrior priest or 2. And I think that is also a display of confidence from Tatoh. I think that Tatoh felt as though he could get away with that, and maybe a couple other players here at NAC that he might not try that same strategy against. Maybe even trying to throw future opponents off, right?
I mean, it might not be a strategy he wants to use later on, so he's happy to show it now.
Exactly, yeah. So good first series of the day. We've got 4 more sets coming up. I don't remember the exact order, to be honest, T-West, but we've got 4 more sets coming up with our other 8 players. And we will have an interview with Tatoh shortly. I'm sure we'll have some good questions. I believe you're doing the interview there?
I don't think we agreed on that, but
okay,
we can figure it out.
We'll do rock, paper, scissors, I suppose, but we'll transition into that shortly. But good series to start it off with, I think, for Dogao. Lessons learned, potentially. What he could do a little bit differently, and I think that this was just a part of warming up.
And hopefully he'll warm up and be more confident in the next rounds. But we're going to throw you to an ad right now.
And now, a word from our partners. Tired of interruptions ruining your moment of peace? Discover true tranquility with the Hammer Bluetooth headphone Passion Voyage. With cutting-edge noise cancellation, immersive sound, and unmatched comfort in every note. Sounds like more Hammer.
It's a nice feeling.
I mean, I just wanted to jump and ask you about the elephants right away, but I should probably calm down. So before the series, I looked up your win rate against Dogao, and it actually blew my mind. Are you aware of how like things have been every time you faced up against each other? Like, what were you feeling could happen based on other sets?
I'm aware because Dogao, he takes care of reminding me, like, oh no, I have to face you again. I will lose. We always like, we are friends, and he also is always with that mentality, and I'm telling him every time, you can beat me. Yeah, just believe in yourself, but no.
I'm not sure if that's a good sign if the opponent is saying you could beat me and trying to lift him up, but what is it like that makes you a step up over Dogao, I guess, then, if you had to think of anything?
I think our styles is quite similar. We have always been like more like hybrid players, both of us, and more like water player. And I guess like I have stepped up a little bit, and just a small advantage, and I can maybe that small difference makes a big role as the game goes on.
Okay, got it. And it did feel like he drafted towards being somewhat hybrid overall. So game one was High Tides, which was a hybrid map. But I want to hear about the Incas, because usually we haven't seen a lot of Mezzo on water maps in general, right? Like Aztecs, Mayans, Incas have not been used frequently. So why Incas? Are you going to stick with the Incas long term? Just talk me through your thought process.
I don't want to spoil that match, to be fair. But I think Incas, like in general, Meso Sieves are decent on those maps because you have the potential lane with the Eagle as well.
Yeah.
Like that's also a threat for them, so they need to be careful. I think I was late, a bit late this time regarding the like going with my Eagle to the dock area. But in general, I think they are underrated on those hybrid maps, and they have a lot of potential, for sure.
Okay, got it. I mean, it makes sense. Did you know that there was a hole there? Isn't that the most ridiculous-looking thing ever?
I knew once the archers got in.
Yeah.
But the scout, I thought they loop around.
Okay.
But when I saw the archers, I was, oh, no, there is a hole there.
It's funny because I thought there was a hole somewhere else just because of the way the houses are shaped. But I guess that blacksmith, you saw the little... whatever it was. Yeah.
It fits perfect, the blacksmith. I was, that's Walt. But no.
Yeah, well, it obviously created some problems for you. But you before this big fight, which he actually ended up backing away from, did you feel pretty comfortable that if you were just patient, you had a massive eco lead? Or were you not sure? Because you made a lot of knights and crossbows.
I knew that I had to hold.
Okay.
Kinda, because he was doing a lot of farming, as you say, and he was investing like a lot of tech. And I knew he was mainly 1TC for a while, or I was expecting that. I wasn't 100% sure. So I was trying to buy time until I could do a good engage. This was a good engage, but he did a really good job micro units. Like if I get a good shot on the crossbow, the game is over. But he didn't let me, so that was like his army control in this game. I think he was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I think if any, obviously it just came down. You had a really good eco. Did you happen to know that he used Malians when he played Sebastian on this map in Game 7 in the qualifier?
I knew it, but I said like I believe like Incas can compete with Malians.
Okay. And
in general, to be fair, like I don't know what happened with Eagles, but when I'm facing them, they are amazing. And we had them. I play with them. I feel like they're super squeezy. So I don't know. I'm always scared to engage.
Well, I mean, to me, it felt like you had the right amount of patience, and obviously it paid off because he did make a lot of army there, in all honesty. So eventually the castle goes up. You end up clicking up to Imp. You made it impossible for him to damage you, and then we moved into game number 2. And so it was wild to me, Tatoh, because you played, I think Incas was your last pick, or maybe second to last pick. And then Goths was your last or second to last. I can't remember the order.
Yeah, I think Goth was the last one.
Okay, so that comes up game 2 then. And I got to ask, was this because you had belief in the civs, or are you trying to hide things? To play your last 2 civs in the first 2 games is pretty crazy to me.
Yeah, but as I said, I think people underrate them, so I don't have to prioritize them on my draft.
Okay.
And I feel like God is still they are decent on Dry River, and more if he had Magias and Romance. My idea was to pick Romance, but he picked both of them.
Okay.
So I guess he didn't want, in this case, Romance to be counted by Magias or something. So he picked both, so he could secure that.
How much of your opening in game 2 was because of you being the Goths, and how much of it was fear of the Romans? Because you made a lot of, I'm saying you made a lot of man-at-arms. Like, did you do that because you're Goths and that's good with Goths, or were you scared of the Romans getting a lead on you?
I just want to control map since the start, right? And like 3 militias is a good investment at early, but at the same time, that allows me to have that threat on him, so he's not comfortable going towards the middle. And I don't think that it delayed me that much. Like maybe I was 1 minute later to feudal, but as I said, like I had the whole map control in that moment.
Yeah. What could he have done a little bit differently in this game? Obviously, the engagements went really good for you because you made a lot of army. But like, you know, when you're playing, you think, what am I weak against? What do you think could have been a problem for you with how you played that? Because it looked kind of perfect to me.
I think on this, as I said, like on the first game, his army control was really, really solid. I think on this one, he could have done a better job microing the archers.
Okay.
I think he gave away too many, and then with that archer opening, if you lose them a small amount, you get out of control, and then you...
Okay. So this game, your scouting was quite poor, right? You were late to seeing dock positions. You were late to even see he had a barracks. But then you could tell the highlights already. Was this part of the plan, or did it just feel natural to go for elephants here?
It was not part of the plan, but as the game shape, I thought it was a good moment to do it because he kind of stopped doing army to get faster castle each time. And at the same time, I got the map control, right? And we were super close on this title seat. Like, as you can see on the map, like we were super close to each other. Sometimes you are in front, so it's probably more balance, more water play. But in this case, you are allowed to play land. And on this map, like just where you TC spawns is where there is more land to farm. So you get that position is really hard to farm and just expand yourself.
The wild thing to me about that is that if he's not Armenians or Georgians, he probably just makes monks to get the relics. And then maybe he gets a conversion or two.
True.
But he made warrior priests, and then he couldn't even convert your elephants. It was a masterpiece.
Yeah, like when I saw like he had already like 3 warrior priests, I was, he will struggle. and now more because like the battle elephants, they have the extra bonus.
Yeah.
Since the last patch.
Yeah.
That is something that people forget.
Yeah.
Because it's not really known yet, but like battle elephants now with Malay are really scary too.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty insane. Well, okay, so you win the first round. We said historically is a pretty good matchup for you, but how's it feel? You get to just watch now. The rest of the day, I'm sure you'll train a little bit, but to have like the pressure off and have that win in the bank, how's that feel?
I mean, it's always good to start like with a win.
Yeah.
And as I said, like I first series, I think also Dogao, like he doesn't have that much LAN experience, so I feel like he will play better as the tournament goes on. So people shouldn't rule him out at all.
Yeah.
I think he believes in himself, he can beat anyone. And like now watch, relax, and let's see who I have to face tomorrow.
All right, awesome. Well, Tatoh, congratulations yet again.
Thank you so much.
We've got 4 more sets today. And up next, I should remember the name of the series I'm casting, Tatoh, but I actually forget. It is Mr. Yo and Vinchester. Yes, totally remember that one. Thank you, Memb. So we'll have that up next
Nice one.
in a moment.
Really nice one.